Hello students, welcome to All4 e-learning channel. This is K. Nageshwar Rao, your physics faculty. Today we are about to deal with session number 108, second year NEET. The chapter name is Magnetism and Matter. In the previous sessions, we have seen the magnetic moment, variation of magnetic moment, if the magnet is cut, if the magnet is bent, if a collection of magnets were taken and if they are arranged in different orientations, the net magnetic moment, what is the value of net magnetic moment. These are the details that we have explored in the previous sessions. Okay, in this session, we'll continue with further discussion related to magnetic moment, and after that we'll proceed further with magnetic field. Okay, so let us recollect one small point that we have discussed earlier. In current electricity chapter, it was told to you that when electron is revolving around the nucleus, it can be considered as a charge flow around the nucleus, and you can talk about current associated with that motion of electron around the nucleus. Okay, so all that you should know is, yes, there is a current associated with the revolving electron around the nucleus. This is one thing that we can consider. The other point is, during the introduction of this magnetism and matter chapter, it was told to you that the origin of magnetism, it lies inside the atom. Whatever electrons are there revolving around the nucleus, their spin motion, their revolutionary motion around the nucleus gives rise to a magnetic effect or magnetic field. When electron is revolving around the nucleus, we are saying that some current is associated with the electron's motion. If that is the case, that current is connected with what? Magnetic field. So here, since the origin of magnetic field is there inside the atom, and each and every atom can be considered as one atomic dipole, or you can talk about magnetic moment for an atom, or if electron is considered, okay, since it is also producing a magnetic field, okay, one single electron if you consider, when it is revolving around the nucleus, it is also producing magnetic field. You can talk about magnetic moment due to revolution of electron around the nucleus. Okay, if you can talk about magnetic moment of an electron revolving around the nucleus, we can derive an equation for that, right? So let us proceed with the derivation. What I'm going to do is I'll consider one electron revolving around the nucleus, magnetic moment due to electron revolving around the nucleus. I will describe a few things here. Okay, let us say this is the nucleus. Okay, around this nucleus, let us say electron is revolving in this path. Okay, let the radius of this path is r, small r. Let the velocity of the electron is v, linear velocity of the electron is v. Okay, now let us first find out what is the current. Okay, if current associated with the electron is known to us, we can find out the magnetic moment. The relation between current and magnetic moment is this one. Magnetic moment m associated with the revolving electron can be expressed as I into A, where I is current associated with revolving electron, and the A is area of the orbit in which it is revolving. Okay, so let us first find out what the I is, and then we'll substitute here. Okay, area, anyways, it is known to us, since the radius of the orbit is r, area can be replaced with pi r square, isn't it? So let us first find out I. See, this current I, from the basic definition, it is expressed as average charge flown over a time t. That's how we write it, isn't it? Q by t. This charge Q is here electron, isn't it? So E by t, isn't it? Here, once it completes a full revolution, once it finishes one circular path around the nucleus, corresponding time is called as time period. Corresponding time is called as time period. If t is equal to t, which is time period. How this I can be written as? I can be written as E by T. Coming to this time period can be expressed as total circumference divided by velocity, isn't it? So total circumference divided by velocity, 2 pi r by velocity, because velocity is equal to what? Speed. Speed of the electron is equal to distance covered by time. 2 pi r is total circumference. Total circumference is covered in a time equal to time period. So time period can be expressed as 2 pi r by speed. Okay. So now I will replace this t with this equation. Substitute here. Then I becomes what? EV by 2 pi r. So this is the expression for current associated with electron revolving around the nucleus. Now using this equation, magnetic moment M can be expressed as EV. I is replaced with EV by 2 pi r, and A I'll keep it as it is. Okay. Further, this A can be replaced with a pi r square, isn't it? Area of the orbit. So EV into pi r square by 2 pi r. Pi gets cancelled, r gets cancelled. So finally you are ended up with M is equal to what? M is equal to EV r by 2. EV r by 2. So that's how you can write the expression for magnetic moment associated with revolving electron. Okay, EV r by 2. Let us try to understand this one a bit more. For example, if this is the case, if this is the situation, let us say the electron is revolving, according to this linear velocity direction. It is obvious that the electron is moving in counterclockwise direction, as we see from the top. As we see this orbit from the top, it is moving in counterclockwise direction. If this is the situation, the direction of magnetic dipole moment will be in the upward direction, like this. Magnetic dipole moment is a vector quantity, right? It will be in the upward direction. Okay, there are certain rules governing the direction of what magnetic dipole moment. Okay, we'll be dealing with all these directions extensively in next coming sessions. For time being, you just remember this right hand thumb rule. Right hand thumb rule. Okay. In fact, R and V, these two directions are responsible for this direction. Okay. So we'll discuss those details in the later sessions in a very detailed way. For time being, you can consider, you can fold your fingers along the direction, in which the electron is revolving. When you fold your fingers like that, the pointed thumb shows the direction of magnetic dipole moment. If this is the magnetic dipole moment, usually magnetic dipole moment direction will be from south pole to north pole, isn't it? It means bottom of this orbit is south pole and the top of this orbit is north pole. So from bottom to top or from south to north, there is magnetic dipole moment. So that's how you can imagine. So remember this equation, magnetic dipole moment associated with electron revolving around the nucleus is what? EV r by 2, where E is charge of the electron, V is the speed of the electron in the orbit, and r is the radius of the orbit. Okay. Now let us talk about magnetic field. See students, magnetic field, electrostatic field, gravitational field, these things were having similarities. Particularly, magnetostatics has a lot of similarity with electrostatic. Whatever north pole that we talk about here in magnetostatics, that is analogous to plus Q charge in electrostatics. Whatever south pole we talk about here in magnetostatics, that is analogous to minus Q charge. Here electric dipole moment is from minus Q to plus Q. Here magnetic dipole moment is from south pole to north pole. Here field lines, electric field lines, they originate from plus Q charge. Okay, and in case of magnet, field lines will originate from north pole. So like that, similarities are there. Okay, further as we move on with several other concepts connected with magnet, we'll come to know that yes, there is a lot of relevance between electrostatics and magnetostatics. So let us proceed with this magnetic field discussion, and wherever there is a possibility, we will try to correlate this subject with electrostatics. Okay, so magnetic field. Tell me, what is a field? If you think about either magnetic field or gravitational field or electrostatic field, the definition or the analysis will be same. Field is the region around a pole, whether a north pole or south pole, whatever pole you consider, around that pole, the region in which its presence can be felt. That region is called as magnetic field. magnetic field. If it comes to the question of what a gravitational field is what around a planet, there will be certain region. Within that region, if any other object comes, that can experience force of attraction due to the planet. So that region is called as gravitational field of that planet. Beyond that region, if a celestial body is very, very far away from the planet, there won't be much influence of this planet over that celestial body. Okay, so the region, within which significantly its presence can be felt, its influence can be felt, that region is called as basically field. If it is a planet, gravitational field. If it is a charge, electrostatic field. If it is a magnetic pole, okay, magnetic field. So let us say consider one magnetic pole here, North Pole. So let us say this is the region in which its presence can be felt. Its presence can be felt in the sense, let us say one small other test North Pole is present here. Okay, so it doesn't experience much force of repulsion because of this North Pole, because it is outside the field region, isn't it? Somewhere here, if you keep this test North Pole, okay, let us take it as N1, okay, then this one will experience a significant force of repulsion due to this North Pole. It means this is the region within which its presence, its influence can be felt significantly. That region we call it as magnetic field. That's how you can define the field. Okay, so let me write it clearly. So what is magnetic field? It is the region in which it is the region around a magnetic pole in which its influence can be felt. So that region is called as magnetic field. Okay, so I'll consider one bar magnet here. I'll consider one bar magnet. Let us say this is North Pole and this is South Pole. If I am interested to know how the field spreads around this magnet, you can do one small experiment. What you can do is you can take a small unit test North Pole and you can leave it somewhere here. Somewhere here you can leave that test North Pole. What happens? There will be repulsive force between this North Pole and test North Pole. So this North Pole, it travels along a particular path, something like this, and it ends somewhere here. It gets attracted to this South Pole. So whatever path the unit test North Pole is following, that path represents magnetic field line. That path represents magnetic field line. Usually magnetic field lines are traced with the help of compass, magnetic compass. Okay, you can keep magnetic compass, and whatever the arrow direction is there, you can keep on tracing that direction, and when you connect all those dots, you will get lines like this. And these lines are called as magnetic field lines. What do we call these lines? Magnetic field lines, or you can also call them as lines of force. Now, if the question is about how many such kinds of lines are possible, infinite lines are possible. Infinite lines. Okay, infinite lines in the sense in physics, huge number. It's our big number. Okay, so many such kind of magnetic field lines are possible around this magnet. So let me draw those magnetic field lines. So let us say this is the bar magnet, North Pole, South Pole. This is how field spreads. It starts at North Pole and enters at South Pole, like this. Like this. Okay, it starts at North Pole and enters at South Pole. Okay, after entering at South Pole, what happens? It will come to dead end. It will not further move. No, it will move inside the magnet. It whatever line is entering here, magnetic field line, inside the magnet, it travels from south to north. So like that, it forms closed loops. It forms closed loops. And this is how, magnetic field lines of a bar magnet appears. And the fashion in which these field lines are arranged in a region, it depends on if several magnets are present in that region. Field lines will be different. Field lines orientation will be different. Okay, the fashion in which they are arranged will be different. If this magnet, if it is completely isolated, from any other magnetic fields, and this is how you are going to see each and every line that starts at the north pole, it enters at south pole, and inside it travels again from south to north. If at all, if this magnet is placed in some other magnet's field, then what happens? That magnet's field lines and this magnet's field lines both will interact, and accordingly what happens? The profile will change. These field lines profile will change. Okay, that's a different story entirely. So let us focus on this one. So here the field lines are closed loops. Just now I said there is a lot of similarity between electrostatics and magnetostatics, but this is where there is a slight contradiction. In case of electrostatics, when you consider plus q charge and minus q charge, whatever field lines travels from plus q to minus q, they will end at minus q. They will end at minus q. They don't travel back to plus q again. Like in the case of magnet, what is happening? Whatever field line is starting from north pole, it is entering at south pole, and inside it is traveling from south to north. Like that, closed loops are there. But here, closed loops are not there. Closed loops are not possible in case of electric field lines. In case of magnetic field lines, closed loops are possible. Okay, so this is how these field lines appears. So now let us talk about characteristics of these field lines. Characteristics of these field lines. Let me tell you this point again. Let me reiterate this. You can trace these field lines. You can identify these field lines by using a small magnetic compass. What you can do is you just keep a compass here. Okay, whatever direction in which the pointer of the compass is pointing, just keep a dot there and move the compass ahead, and like that you will get several dots. When you join all those dots, you will get these kind of lines. Okay, so let us proceed with characteristics of these magnetic field lines. Okay, these points are very fundamental and important points connected with the field lines. Let us see what those characteristics are. I will take a north pole and south pole. Characteristics of magnetic field lines. Let us consider one bar magnet containing north and south pole. Just now we have seen that field lines, they originate at north pole, they enter into south pole, and again inside the magnet they travel from south to north. So outside the magnet they travel from north to south, isn't it? Outside, north to south. Inside the magnet, south to north. What is the consequence? Closed loops are possible. Here I am writing very briefly all the points. Okay, so this is one characteristics of one character of magnetic field lines. If at all, if you are interested to find out magnetic field at a given point, you can do that. Yes, magnetic field is a vector quantity. It will have both direction and magnitude. So if you are interested to find out, for example, let us say a field line is starting at north pole somewhere here, and it is entering at south pole like this. If you are interested to find out magnetic field direction here, what you can do is you just draw a tangent like this. Whatever direction this tangent shows, that is the direction of magnetic field at that point. Okay, so tangent drawn at a point shows the direction of magnetic field. Okay, and one more point is, if you have taken a bar magnet something like this, let us say this is north pole, this is south pole. One line is traveling from north to south like this, another line is traveling from north to south like this. Okay, what if you think about the possibility of intersection of these two lines? one line, whether one line intersects with the other line or not. The same, similar kind of possibility we have explored in case of electrostatics. What electric field lines which are starting from positive charge to negative charge, which are traveling up to negative charge, they intersect or not? The answer is they do not intersect. Why? If at all, if I assume that, let us say somewhere here, lines are intersecting. Okay, I have taken one line like this, and here it is. Okay, so let us say somewhere here the intersection point lies like this. What does it mean? It means if you try to identify the direction, in this point it was mentioned that you need to draw a tangent. So to this, corresponding to this magnetic field line, this is the direction. Corresponding to this magnetic field line, this is the direction. Okay. Now the question is it possible to have magnetic field at a given point in two different directions? No, something that is not possible. It doesn't matter how many number of field lines are there. Okay, at a given point, the total magnetic field will be in a particular direction. It will be in a particular direction. It doesn't have two directions. So since this is not possible, having the magnetic field in two directions at a given point is not possible, we conclude that intersection of two magnetic field lines is also not possible. So they don't intersect. Practically also, when you trace the profile of magnetic field lines around the magnet, what you will be coming to know? You will come to know that the field lines, they do not intersect. So what is the conclusion here? Field lines do not intersect. If they intersect, what happens? If they intersect, at the point of intersection, two different directions are possible for the magnetic field, something which is impossible. Okay, so the next one is, I will consider a north pole and a south pole. See here, this is how the field lines will be traveling from north pole to south pole, isn't it? What happens? There will be attractive force between north and south pole, isn't it? And if you observe these field lines, you are going to realize that these field lines, they undergo contraction longitudinally. Longitudinal contraction in the sense what? Like this length decreases. Length of this field line decreases. It prefers to undergo longitudinal contraction. What does it mean? It means these field lines are trying to bring south and north poles close to each other. Okay, so whatever this characteristic property possessed by these field lines, what is that property? Longitudinal contraction. They undergo longitudinal contraction. That is what mainly responsible for the attraction between north and south poles. Okay, if there is a longitudinal expansion, what happens? North pole and south pole, they move away from each other, isn't it? So since there is a longitudinal contraction in the field lines, north and south poles, they are attracting each other. So here, field lines undergo longitudinal contraction. This is one character, longitudinal contraction. What if you consider two similar poles? Let us talk about that as well. Two like poles were taken. Consider two like poles. I'll consider north and north pole. We know that north and north pole, they repel each other. Like poles, they repel each other, and like poles attract each other. You know how this field lines profile appears? This is how it appears. The field line profile appears like this. From this picture, it is obvious that these lines are repelling each other, like laterally they are opposing each other. So because of this reason only, because of this kind of interaction between the field lines only, north pole and north pole, south pole and south pole, they repel each other. So whatever kind of behavior the field lines are possessing, that is what mainly responsible for this attraction and repulsion between the poles. Okay, so here what is happening? Lateral repulsion between the field lines. Lateral repulsion between the field lines. And here in this region, if you see, if any, further if you try to imagine few more lines, definitely in this region, there won't be any possibility for the existence of any field lines, isn't it? No field line will enter into, a small region. You can imagine a small region because completely all the field lines they are opposing. So a small vacuum will be created. Vacuum in the sense not depleted with the air, completely depleted with the field lines. Okay, so if there are no any field lines at a particular point between these two, that point is called as null point. That point is called as null point. There is no any magnetic field at all. You cannot, if you place any pole over there, it doesn't experience any force, either force of attraction or repulsion. Okay, so such a kind of a point we call it as null point. Null point. So what is a null point? The point where magnetic field lines are completely absent. If magnetic field lines are there, magnetic field lines are not there, there won't be any magnetic field effects. Okay, its influence cannot be felt, right? So here, how much influence a magnet can create at a point, or if you consider a north pole here, somewhere here, if you are talking about a magnetic field influence, okay, field lines, they will start like this, right, from north pole. Okay, I will consider a unit, I will consider one point here. Around this point, I will imagine one unit area. Through this area, how many field lines are passing? 3 lines are passing. If you imagine one point here, and if you construct one unit area around that point, how many lines are passing through this area? Only 1 line is passing. So here, the density of lines is less. Here, lines are crowded. They are crowded. More the number of lines present. If the magnetic field lines are heavily crowded at that point, in that region, magnetic field strength will be very high. Magnetic field strength will be very high. Here, in this situation, here magnetic field strength is high. Here magnetic field strength is less because the density of field lines is less. Here field lines are heavily crowded. Here density of field lines is more, isn't it? So that's how you can also talk about the magnetic field strength. Particularly between these 2 line poles, you can have one point where the magnetic field strength is completely 0. That's what we call it as null point, isn't it? So these are certain characteristics. We can talk about few more points here. For example, if you take a metal, magnetic materials are there. Iron is a magnetic material, isn't it? What happens if you place iron here? Let us say you have taken a bar magnet and it is having field lines all around this. Okay, starting from north pole. And if a piece of iron is placed here, okay, through this piece, field lines will pass comfortably. But they prefer passing through the magnetic materials, field lines. Okay, because this is a magnetic material, and these things they prefer to pass through the magnetic material because the such a kind of passage is possible through these materials because already they were magnetic materials. They are magnetic materials. What if you are having a ring-shaped a highly magnetic material, and if field lines are passing like in this region, field lines are traveling in this direction, for example, okay, like this. These field lines, they also prefer passing through the material because that material is magnetic material. Material is magnetic material. Let us say if it is made up of some soft iron. Soft iron is highly magnetic material. Soft iron. So these field lines will pass like this. Like this they pass. They prefer to pass through the material of the ring, and they are not entering into this empty region. Okay. For example, if there is a requirement of creating a region without any magnetic field, okay, without any magnetic field for some experimental purpose, if you wanted to shield that environment completely from magnetic field, if you wanted to isolate any magnetic field from that region, okay, if you wanted to make sure that the region is completely free from magnetic field, what you can do is you can make such kind of arrangement. Okay, in this region, if I wanted to perform the experiment, I can perform the experiment which is in that experiment, if the requirement is there should not be any magnetic field, what I can do that experiment here. I can arrange a ring kind of thing. So whatever magnetic field lines are entering, they pass into the, they pass through the material of the ring, and they will leave the region. And here this region will be completely free from the magnetic field lines. Okay, so this kind of thing is called as magnetic shielding or magnetic screening. Okay, magnetic shielding or magnetic screen. Okay, so if any magnetic material is taken, what these magnetic field lines, they prefer to pass through the magnetic materials because they are magnetic in nature, and they don't oppose, they don't hinder the passage of field lines. Okay, because inside a magnet also, what is happening inside a bar magnet, whatever field lines are entering, originating from the North Pole, they are entering at South Pole, and very comfortably they are traveling inside the magnet from south to north. Okay, this is what happens with all the magnetic materials. Okay, field lines, they prefer to pass through the magnetic material. And if you take this ring kind of shaped structure, magnetic materials structure, field lines, if they are entering parallelly like this, what happens? They prefer to pass through the material of the ring, not through the this region. So this region is completely free from the magnetic field. Okay, so that's how the characteristics of a magnetic field can be understood. Okay, so this is where I'll close the session. In the next coming session, we'll proceed with magnetic field related few other parameters, new physical quantities will be introduced. We'll discuss about all those things. Okay, thank you, students.